Hello everyone, this video will cover Module 3. In Module 3, you will start your first essay assignment. You will work on the essay in this module, but it's not going to be due until the end of the next module. So right now, all we're focused on is just learning this technique for writing. So we're writing a narrative essay, so we're going to talk about that or look at how to write a narrative, some of the organizational patterns and things like that. And then you're going to plan your essay and come up with your topic. And so we'll be prepared then for the next module when you're actually going to draft the essay itself. So in this module, you can see that we're focused on just learning about narration and description, which are 2 chapters out of the book that will help us. So this is in the Patterns for College Writing book. If you haven't logged into the textbook yet, you really need to make sure that you can do that. It's through VitalSource. And you have 2 chapters here. The one on narration is going to be the most helpful for you when you sit down to write the essay, because you're writing a narrative essay. So going through like the planning a narrative essay, structuring a narrative essay, revising and editing a narrative essay, all of that's going to be stuff that will carry forward to the next module where you'll actually be drafting your essay. The chapter of a description really is just to help you because when you're writing a narrative, you're telling a story and you want to make sure that you provide enough description in there. So there's a lot of terminology that we can use to discuss the different types of descriptive writing, different things that you can include, like your 5 senses. All of that will be covered in chapter 7. So that's really to kind of supplement the narrative chapter, but you are writing a narrative essay. So you're reading all of that and you're going to take the quiz. The quiz is just a standard quiz for the class. You can take it as many times as you want to get the score that you want. And then once you're done with that, I want you to really sit down and think about what you're going to do for this essay. So the rest of the module is planning your narrative essay. This is the assignment. So each essay will have an assignment sheet that's the criteria for the essay, which tells us what you have to include in the essay in order to get a passing grade. And so some students, they just like never look at these, which is problematic because then they'll miss something and then they won't do very well in the essay. So this is the assignment itself. You're going to have 3 key features. You're going to include descriptive language. So that's why we're reading the description chapter. Narration, so that's why we're reading the narration chapter, and then dialogue. Dialogue we include in this style of essay because it's going to help us to practice for when we have to use quotations later on from sources. So we're going to be building on this skill throughout the semester. So a couple of things that you want to be thinking about. So your topic needs to be a story from your life. The objective is to explore that story through the techniques of narrative writing. So you're choosing a personal event. These are some ideas for your personal event. So a time when you spoke out, something you learned from an experience, something that where you had a failure of communication. The best choice is an event that shaped your life somehow, something that's unique to you as a person. So you might think about times when you maybe met a person and they provided you with a different viewpoint on life. So anything that's going to help you to really analyze and reflect on what is the significance of the event. How did you change or grow from that experience? So this is the part that we're really interested in, is what happened as a result of that experience. So I get a lot of stories. I get a wide variety of different things students have written about. Some of them are extremely personal and some of them are more like just, you know, this one time I was doing this one thing and this thought occurred to me, or this, you know, I've had students write about experiences where they realized a certain profession was the one that they wanted to go into based on a conversation that they had, or like a job shadow experience that they had, or even, you know, they got injured in high school and they got to meet the physical therapist, and now that's what they want to study. So just different things like that. Anything that you feel like altered the course of your life in some way. So it should be a brief event, though. It does need to be occurring within 1 day or less. So if you choose something like I get a lot of mission stories, stories where students went on some kind of church mission or something, which is fine. You definitely can use that. You want to isolate one day or less because we need to focus the essay on a specific thing that happened to change you. So you need to focus on the one day of the mission trip that you felt sticks out to you the most, or was the most impactful for you. Your implied thesis or your thesis statement is going to be what the significance of the experience is. And then the rest of the essay is really building the story. So you're telling us the story using that vivid, dramatic description, building up some tension for the reader so that we want to continue reading through your entire essay. You'll include some lines of dialogue as well. So lines of dialogue would be what people say in the story. Sometimes if you have a story where there was not a lot of talking, like you're hunting or something, people don't talk when they hunt by themselves, then you can just include thoughts as dialogue. That's fine. And then it's a first person point of view. So you're using eyes throughout. You're from your perspective. Don't write about yourself in the third person because it gets weird. So make sure that you're just considering the whole story beginning to end, that kind of thing. So what you're going to do then to help prepare for this essay is first you're going to do a free write. So free writes, we've already covered how to do that from the invention chapter. And this is the type of writing where I want errors in it. You're just going to continually type as fast as you can with as many ideas as you can. It doesn't matter how it looks on the page. It doesn't matter what mistakes you make. And then you're going to submit that file once you're done. So try to make sure that, like, if you have one of those programs that changes your wording as you type, like turn that off because you don't want, you want the errors in there. Otherwise, you're not really doing it right. So these are some questions to think about. Events in your life that you have a strong emotion attached to, something that changed your perspective, somebody that you met changed your life. What have you accomplished that you're most or least proud of? All of those sort of things would be good to write about. You can pick just one prompt or you can write about all of the prompts. It's really up to you, but whatever you can get in 10 minutes. So set a timer and type. It should be a good long page worth of ideas once you're done. Even if they're kind of scattered at this point, that's fine. So that's what we want for the free write. Then you're going to go into our discussion board. All of our essays will have a thesis and discussion board, or thesis and outline workshop discussion board. So once you've done a free write, look back over that. If there are any good ideas that show up there, or maybe you have to think of a new one because none of those work, that's fine. I've got a page of just different ideas if you want. Any kind of significant event that changed you, that will work really well for this. So then what you're going to do is create a discussion board post. So you hit reply, and then you're going to include for us your working thesis. So just kind of the significance of the event and what you learned from it. And then the 5 elements of a story. So a story arc, we start with background information. We go to conflict. We have a rising action, which is what happens as a result of the conflict. So what occurs first to start the incident. The climactic moment, which is the incident that changed you, what happened as a result, and then what happens at the end. So you're just going to map that out for us. One of the options that you have that sometimes students do use is to use AI to create a thesis and outline. What you want to make sure that you're doing is labeling your version versus the AI version. Because if you don't label them, then you're not going to get credit for it. If you just submit an AI version, you're not going to get credit for it. So I want to see, because AI can sometimes show us things that we didn't see before. And so if you want to do that, you're welcome to. But you have to include both, and you need to tell me what's yours and what's AI. So then response-wise, there's a lot of different questions that you can think about to respond to your peers, kind of help them out a little bit. The whole point of doing a workshop like this would be, like we do in class, we sit down and we share our topics. Everybody can have a chance to kind of respond, or I have a chance to respond, and just see what other people are doing is also super helpful. So we're just going to see what it looks like and what you can come up with. And then obviously I'll be going in and responding to these right away. And then once we get to the next module, you'll actually write out the essay using this outline and thesis. So that's the module. It's really the planning stage, learning and planning. If you have questions as you go through, you're not sure if what you've chosen will work for the essay, feel free to send me an email. Otherwise, have a great week.